Oh, we
Here we
are
go.
live.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Naughty Boy. I'm your host Matt, and this here to my that side. I always get that wrong. I don't know why,
I
but
know camera's flipped. Yeah.
this guy to my right is Ian, the Mega Geek
Hello.
Diaz. Hello.
Hello.
And he's going to talk some Doctor Who with me tonight, as if he doesn't talk about Doctor Who enough. You
Yeah.
must be tired of it, I tell you.
Mm,
Especially all this thing, recent events and everything. It's like it's been an interesting week, that's for sure, for Doctor
has
Who.
it has it definitely has. I
But
mean,
to be honest, Ian, I'm not
mm.
excited. I'm not excited. Are you?
No, well, no,
I mean, I'm
not at
excited,
all.
more excited now than I was before, but that's not much. It's like literally, it's only just a little bit of the thing. I'm not the
No,
biggest RTD fan. I know everybody loves him to death.
no, I don't mind him and the prospect of Chibnall and Jodie going away
Oh, that
is it's something that people should celebrate. But
this is
unfortunately,
definitely not going to be a Jodie Love-in, that's for sure.
no, but unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen. We have to wait 2 years before they decide what they're going to do, whether they're going to bring us real Doctor Who back. The two factors here, as we say, is whether he's going to cast a woman as the next Doctor, and whether they're going to retcon the retcon. So if they do those two things and start from that point on, yes, you'll get back the majority of the fans. But if they don't do that, then it's going to be back to square one. I suspect. Well, I think what they've done is called RT in to basically, um, basically fix,
Reboot
not
it.
fix, yeah, reboot it with a woman because
Mm.
Chibnall's idea of a female doctor didn't work, so maybe they've asked RT to come in. Right, okay, right. So Chibnall went wrong. Can you get us a female doctor that works with the fans? Maybe they asked him that. I don't know. I don't know.
See, I
Mm.
would never have ever cast a female doctor,
Nor would
ever.
nor would I.
And I
Wait.
was always, even when Capaldi was just about to be announced, I was there.
Mm.
They actually streamed. This is how popular Doctor Who was here in Australia at the time. They
Mm.
actually streamed it live
Yeah.
on the ABC, like here at like such and such time in the morning. And I
Mm.
I watched it. I was like watching it live, and I
Yeah.
was so worried that they were going to cast a woman. And then as soon as I saw his hand, I was like, no, it's a man. Awesome. I don't care who it
Yeah.
is. I'm just glad that they've got the because I always worry. Americans and that are always, they were always talking about having a woman doctor.
I think
So
it's been an old conversation since
mm,
Tom Baker.
um,
But the problem with casting a woman, look, they could have got it. They could have made it work, but unfortunately, what they did is they introduced the politics and the feminine agenda in there, and they just dialed it up to 100,
well, you
didn't
knew
they?
that was going to happen, though, didn't you? As soon as they put it in, I was waiting
Mm.
for him to have her to have a sonic tampon. I was just like, it probably would have hurt, which was good, but it's just one of those things where I was like, I honestly, when they announced that, I was so numb.
Mm.
I think I was at work actually, and I was like, they've done it. The bastards have done it. And I'm
Yeah,
like, "No." But I knew that, it was gonna happen. I knew as soon as they even announced it being coming back, that it was going to happen. If the
I,
show was a success.
I was very disappointed when they showed I think it was the Olympics, and then they showed the trailer in between the Olympics, and she takes off her hoodie, and it's a woman. My heart sunk, but you know what? I was like, okay, let's give it a chance. Let's see what they're going to do with the female doctor. And from the first episode, I just thought this is just abysmal. The writing's
Yeah.
abysmal. The whole idea, the way she's playing the doctor's abysmal. Her accent is grating. You got these characters that you didn't care about. The story for the tooth monster thing was absolutely terrible, and it just didn't inspire me with confidence. It
See,
really
all this
didn't.
stuff is sort of, like, filtering into me now because I never
Mm.
actually watched any of it. And
It's so bad.
I never watched Peter Capaldi's last final episode
Yeah, it's
because I
terrible.
thought, well, you know what? I'm happy with what we've had, and I'm like, you know what? I can do without it. If it works out, fantastic, great, all good for them. But it's not really being made for me anymore.
Yeah,
And I'm like, and so I just felt that, it was obviously not being made for me, and so I just felt that, maybe now would be a good time to just, just to stop, and that's exactly what I did, and I've been so much better for it. But what was happening was, in the background,
mm,
you had you had things happen, like, this whole cancer thing, and then suddenly there was a black doctor, and not that I'm akin to a black doctor, but it was like a black female doctor, and she was fat as well, so she's not going to do a lot of running. and, and and I was just like, but where does she fit into this? But I didn't want
well,
to look at it. I wanted to find out later what was going on, because like, I wanted to hear in the background sort of thing, because I didn't want to watch the actual show. But I was
uh,
like, I hope that they don't go this route where they totally fuck up the canon. Like, I know that there's no canon, but 12 doctors, that's it. And
yeah.
as soon as they did that, I was like, what the fuck? You know? And that's when it
Well,
started to really get to me.
well, the thing is, I said they could have made it work, and but the thing is, though,
Yeah.
it seems like they were hell bent in destroying the 12 other white males.
And what a lot of people
Um,
don't realize, Ian, is because you
mm,
and I mean, I've been a fan for well, my entire lifetime. I have. And
yeah,
that's over 40, nearly 40, well, 46 years, 47 years. And
yeah.
you've been here longer. You've been there in the Pertwee years.
Yes, I was.
And and the fact is, I mean, I was there too. We had Pertwee and Tom Baker
Mm,
for like years and years. Once the Tom Baker era had come to the season had come to the end, they'd restart the John Pertwee era
yeah.
again. So it was always those two doctors intertwining.
Mm.
And then, of course, when Peter Davison came along, check that out. I got that today.
Ooh,
See that? It's Peter Davison.
excellent.
Yes. But when he came along, he was like my doctor. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And so, because I felt like I was there at his birth.
Mhm.
But the funny thing is, though, as me being back, like back then, and you being back then, every time that there was a new doctor announced, it was something special.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
they tried to bring it back with the newer season, and it kind of worked. They were doing a lot of these little party things and everything. And I remember watching the 11th Doctor for Matt Smith's debut, and I was like,
Mm.
okay, yeah. And he just won me over straight away, pretty much.
I
But I was like, hey, at least it's a man.
Well, I think what happened was, okay, right. So basically, when Russell T came along, he basically brought it back, and he gave nods to classic and created some new stuff, and he did a good job, in my opinion. Yes, there were episodes that I had problems with and thought looked
Yeah.
cheap, and for its time and stuff like that, and thought they went wrong, but generally he was on the right track, and generally he created an era that everybody enjoyed. But then where they went wrong, in my opinion, right, this is just my opinion, is when they cast Peter. I like Peter as an actor, but from that point where you had two young doctors, where you had female fans that loved
Mm,
Matt Smith and David Tennant, you suddenly cast someone that's looks old. I mean, no
yeah.
disrespect to Peter.
Well, I mean,
um
even Matt says it in his first episode. He says, "Oh
yeah,
no, I'm not old, am I?"
yeah,
You
and I
know,
think that's where the audience
right?
dropped, and there was a lot of people that I knew, especially younger than me, that just tuned out of Doctor Who because they couldn't relate to someone of that
I mean,
age.
he's not middle aged, is he? He was older
No,
than middle aged,
yeah,
and I mean, I understand that. I was relieved. I was
mm,
like, I'm just glad that he's a male,
yeah,
but but it was just the fact that now that they've done this, it's just dread. Hey, John, how are you? So, yeah, like, it's just it's an absolute dread of
Mm.
what's going to happen next, you know?
Yeah.
And it never but used to be that way, Ian. It
No.
used to be in the old days where we used to go, "Oh, goody." But the funny thing is, like, you know, who's going to be the next Doctor, you know, all that sort of thing. But then you have like I had this weird experience once where you know, back in the old days when you know, we had to wait for Doctor
Yeah.
Who to come over here.
Mm.
And there was a 3-year gap. There was a 3-year gap between, you know, new seasons. And like, I don't know how the BBC used to do it, but I think they used to give us chunks of
Oh
new
yeah.
Doctor Who,
Hmm.
and then we'd have to run that for a few years, you know. And then eventually when Peter Davison got cast and he sort of became the new Doctor, by the time that we got it,
Yeah.
of course, it was 3 years. So the next one had already been announced, and I remember seeing getting the pullout for the 5 Doctors, because we started with the 5 Doctors, which was weird. We actually
Mm.
started with that one before we actually started with Peter Davison's run.
Yeah.
And so we had, you know, Tegan and all this, but we co-produced it as well. ABC Australia actually
Mm.
co-produced it. So I guess that's the reason why we got to run it early. But that was a real special event here as
It
well. But
was. It was
when we
over
got
here
it, I
too.
remember getting the pullout and seeing new Doctor Who. This is the new Doctor Who, Colin Baker, and I'm like, but I've only just got the other one. And so yeah, it was like, oh, I fucking hate this guy already, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't think Colin had a chance in hell with me anyway. So you know,
I think
it's
I think in the old days though, basically in the old days, it was you didn't have so much access to TV shows. Now you can, you can either sail the seas and get, TV shows that are not available to you, or you can, or you got
that sort of thing.
streaming. Yes, I'm saying you got streaming. But in
Yeah,
those days, right, in our country, I guess there was only 4 channels or 3 channels, and you had to wait for something to come on, and it just felt, it felt the wait was sometimes worth it. I liked Peter Davison, but I thought he was given some really crappy stories, right? But the thing is, though, when Colin took over, I was just like, what? I watched a couple of episodes and I didn't really warm to him. And when Sylvester McCoy took over, that was it for me. I thought, nah, this not working with me. But still, I watched a couple of his episodes, right? But this new era, I watched 3 episodes of the first season and I was out. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
When Sylvester McCoy came in, even though I didn't like Sylvester McCoy, I watched a couple of episodes and I thought, no, he's not very good. It came out, and then season whatever the second season after him, I came back in and watched a couple of episodes, went out. It wasn't. I didn't feel like I've got to abandon this because it's so bad, and that's how I felt with this
Mm.
new era. I just abandoned it. I just
I
didn't
never
want to
ever
see
wanted
it
to
ever.
abandon it because I
Yeah,
was like, I know if as soon as I abandon it, it'll go. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want it to go because
yeah.
it was so beloved in I'm gonna start crying in a minute. But it was so beloved in like it's weird because like you know how it's a generation thing where
Mm.
your father shows you as a
Yes.
child or whatever and that sort of thing. See, I didn't get that. My dad hates science fiction. So it was actually my sister who was a little older than me, about 10 years older than me, that actually introduced me to it sort of
Mm.
thing, because they were just like, just watch this sort of thing. And I was freaking entranced by it. And it was Tom Baker, of course. But,
Yeah.
it was just the fact that it was like, it was a show that was like none other. And I was actually watching it on a black and white television as well at the time. So it was like,
Mm.
you know, um, it was even more spookier, And I mean, I
Yeah.
can't really watch. The sad thing is, I know I understand the love for William Hartnell as the first Doctor,
Yeah.
and I can watch him, but I don't feel any like real connect. I give him the gravitas that he deserves
Mm.
because he was the first. He started it all. If it wasn't for him, the whole thing would be gone shit. But it was just the fact that he didn't really give me any sort of, but I found him later in life as well. So it was a little
Mm.
different. I was used to another thing completely.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is, as soon as I got a Patrick Troughton episode to watch, I fucking fell in love with him straight
Mm.
away. And I was determined. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to like this guy because it's just not, it's too old fashioned,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I loved it. wow, he's the best Doctor ever.
He
So
was pretty good. Yeah, he was.
he
Yeah,
was
that's
well, he was new, and this is the problem is the whole new thing, and with Russell T Davies coming back is the fact that there's going to be no new generation. There's not going to be everything new. It's
um.
not, is it?
I don't know. It all look right. What's evident? What is a fact, in my opinion, which the BBC is trying to cover up, is that this era didn't work. Okay, right. The toy sales, wasn't selling. The actual scripts themselves was terrible. It was obvious that the management didn't work for Doctor Who. They don't understand Doctor Who. Second of all, right, they went out of their way to destroy the canon of Doctor Who purely because they wanted the
For
feminine
political.
agenda to work. It was a
Yep.
political thing that they did,
It's a
and
political
they did it with they did it in a way that they had no mercy. Do you know what I mean? They had
Yeah.
it wasn't like they did it slowly. They literally came in there with a tank and destroyed the china shop. That's what they
Yeah,
did,
well,
right?
it's like I
And
had
they
a real
weren't,
nice
yeah, they weren't ashamed. There's no apology. There's no
look.
admitting that's what they did, which is obvious to everyone. That's what they did, and to me that seems very mean and
Yes.
very
It's wrong. It was
yeah,
wrong. And that's when I was like, no, that's fucking vandalism. What you
yeah.
are doing is fucking vandalism. And that's not be honoring the past or anything like that. It's not creating anything new. It's destroying what was old to fit your fucking political shit. And I'm not interested. It doesn't entertain me in the slightest. And I'm like, if I don't get involved in this,
Mm,
I'm sick and tired of hanging from because I've been on the sidelines for 4 years. I'd been on the sidelines by 4 years by that time. And I was like, you know what? If I don't get in this fucking fight as well, because you got to fight for something that you fucking love. Yes, it's a TV show, and
mm,
if it got cancelled tomorrow, you know what? Yeah, so be it. Well, I don't blame you, not especially after the fucking shit you've been the
yeah.
way that they've been treating it. But it's like when it was all first going down and that she'd been announced. I mean, I wasn't like no, I'm going to say no to this. I mean, I bought the Blu-ray set for season 11 and the Christmas special, oh not Christmas special, the what is it? The New Year's Day special as well because I hadn't seen it and I
Mm,
thought, maybe it's good. But
yeah.
from what I was reading, everybody was loving the show. And what I was watching online on YouTube, everybody was freaking hating it. And they're like, there's something wrong with this. And so anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to make my own mind up. But then as soon as they started with this whole shit with the whole, fugitive to Dune and timeless child stuff, I was like,
Mm.
no, that's it. I've had a juicy steak that is totally never ending, and I've given it to you for a few years, and you've given it back to me, and it's all pissed all over, and I don't want it.
Well,
And I was just,
that's the thing, you see, Matt. As I said, right? It's obvious to everyone. Obviously, the access media is going to say exactly what the BBC wants them to say because the majority of them are for this agenda. But as I said, it's vandalism. You pointed it out, absolutely right. You said it's vandalism. It's the same thing that's happening with all. Before we went on, I was saying to you, wasn't I, Matt? I was saying that
I,
it seems like
yeah,
whoever's in charge of the world, they want us to fight for some reason. They want us to fight for pop culture. They want us to fight for the sexism, whether a man's better than a woman. Men are getting railed upon in the media. They basically want us to fight. Maybe they're trying to distract us from something that they're doing. I don't know what it is. That's what it feels like that to me. Do you know what I mean? It
yeah,
really
yeah. No,
does.
I do. It's it's kind of crazy because I didn't kind of saw it in the original in the newer series. I was like, okay, you've put in a new black companion. Okay, I'm gonna give her a chance. I freaking loved her. I
Mm,
absolutely loved her. And then,
mm,
but it was a bit weird with RTD when he started like, especially in the first series when you see that whole thing with the like, you go, oh, here's this new character, Captain Jack, and then all of a
Mm,
sudden he ass grabs a man, and I'm
yeah.
like, to me, if I was
Mm.
in if I'd been watching that as a kid, I would have gone, why is he doing that, mum?
But I think a lot of kids did say that, and that's the thing,
Yeah,
you see. Because all right, so RT introduced a gay character, which at the time was good. It was good for Doctor Who,
pansexual or
you know.
whatever the hell they
Yeah, yeah,
call it,
yeah.
you know, to get
No,
around it, you know.
well, no, no. Captain Jack is he goes for women and men. I don't know what you
Yeah,
call
but
that
like
again.
it
Hmm?
well, it is pansexual. He goes for
That's it.
anything, an
Yeah,
alien or
yeah, yeah,
whatever. But
yeah.
then you have to turn around and saying,
Mm.
well, I've never seen him have any sexual relationships with
Well,
women. He
yeah.
had a grandson, but you know, nowadays, who knows? He could have had that with a man in
But
a
he
fake womb or something.
you know, that's the thing he does, right. But then it wasn't that kind of thing wasn't it wasn't made to drive the story. Do you know what I mean? It was just part of the
Yeah,
story. Now that's the
yeah,
difference between what's happening now and what
yeah,
happened then, right? And RT's he's gay anyway, so
yeah.
you know
Look, I just don't need it to be told in my fucking face every 2 seconds that this is written by a gay writer, that this is this character is gay. I didn't care less about Bill being in it, but I cared less that she was a lesbian every 2 minutes.
yeah, but
I was
yeah,
just like, I
okay.
don't care.
Yeah, but RT didn't do that with his with Captain Jack. He
No,
just
he did little.
he
No,
didn't.
I will
Yeah,
admit,
mm,
RTD
yeah,
just did little sly nods.
yeah.
But when you add them all up, yes, okay, it had the lesbian grannies and all this weird stuff.
Mm.
And it was a little off-putting for us back then. Now we've just got to shut up and put up.
No, but
But
the point I'm trying to make is that RT used a little stone hammer to chip away and about the pansexual thing that Jack was, and yeah, there was a little bit of gay stuff in there, but the BBC now is using a sledgehammer
yeah,
to drive it home, and that's the thing, and the thing is though, RT cared about the balance, but the BBC doesn't give a shit about the balance. What they're saying, what they're doing is they're actually, as I said, they're driving a tank into a China shop. So
mm,
you look at if you look at the first season, they had a pregnant man in it who gave birth in one story. They had what else did they
gosh,
have?
it's been
They
so long since I've seen the first
yeah, and they
series.
had the astronauts that were that his boyfriend and stuff like that, that the guy on
Oh,
Earth and his boy. Remember that episode? And you know what I
yeah,
mean? And they just slammed it home all the time. But it did start in the Peter Capaldi era. It really did. As you said,
yeah.
quite rightly so, that you said with Bill, and they were just slamming it home time and time again, especially what River Song said to the Doctor as well. You're what's that? You're
Oh,
smiling. You can't smile. You're a man. Those lines
it
like
was
that
like
were just terrible.
to be honest, I started falling off after Missy.
I didn't mind her.
See,
I
no,
didn't mind
I
her.
was like, now you've opened the floodgate sort of thing, and I'm
Mm.
like, uh, I was like, because I didn't know that she was a master. I was kind of hoping that they'd turn around and say, she's not the master or whatever. And
She's
I
not the
was not
master to
actually
me.
watching I was actually not watching. No, Delgado's always the master for
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
It's like and Ainley. I like Ainley as well. He actually
Yes.
that was the one I grew up
Yeah.
with. I didn't really grow up with the Gardos until
Mm.
later, but I was like, yeah, he was
Yeah, they were
awesome. But
both great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Ainley took a little bit more of Delgado,
He
but just
did.
a little
Yeah,
bit more campy.
he
But
did.
probably that was because he was gay. I don't know. I don't
Mm.
know. I'm not going there. But it's just the fact that I just yeah, it was a little bit more what you call pantomime. Is that it?
It's
Pantomime.
what's annoying about everything that's happening now, right? Is that you can your eyes are open, you can see it. There's loads of normies out there that can't see anything, and God bless them. They're gonna watch whatever. But your eyes are open now. I mean,
Mm,
even I'm hearing about the latest James Bond film, where I was watching just before I came on, Matt. I was watching behind the scenes.
No.
You know that the really good looking girl in the dress that's kicking ass in this latest James Bond film. They show you behind the
Yeah.
scenes where she was doing the stunt work with the stunt guys. So
Yeah.
they were teaching her and stuff like that. And she's absolutely gorgeous, right? But then they were interviewing her, and she was saying things like, you know, when you have a Bond girl in a Bond film, girls can't relate to them because they're so perfect, and you can't relate to them because they're so perfect, and there's she, perfect, saying,
Yeah.
and you know what? It's just smacks of it. It doesn't make any sense to me that she's saying that. And when you look at
Yeah.
her, this girl is absolutely gorgeous. And why is she saying that? What for? What for? And these are the things that normies don't see. Right, just accept it as the way it is. And you know what, right? And you can bet your ask that in this film there'll be bits in the Bond film, there'll be bits in there that will basically make me squirm in my chair because I can see it and maybe the audience can't. And you can,
I know. I'm glad you're going to see it for me, so you can
I'm
tell
going
me
to see
what
it
it's like.
tomorrow. But I
Good luck
think
with that one.
Keith's watching the midnight screening tonight.
Keith's great, but he doesn't really see the
No, he
woke
does.
in a lot of things.
No,
I know, but
he does, but
he
he's
sees
far
little
more.
things, but...
Yeah, he's far more gentle about saying it. Which you know what, Keith makes me laugh because Keith is part. He's a member of BAFTA, so
Good bloke to know.
yeah, he's
Like
he's a good chap, but I'm just saying that he has a different take to me.
Mm.
I'm more raw with my take. I would say what's on my mind, but I won't be insulting about it. I'm not going to insult anyone. When I say things, it's usually with my tongue firmly in my cheek, majority of the times. But when I do say it that way, you bet there is truth in what I say, or for instance, what I think is going on. I'd be honest with my thing. But there are a lot of people out there that they kind of sugarcoat it when they give their opinion.
Well, that's the thing.
Not to hurt
You can't really
anyone.
have an opinion, can you?
Of course,
You're
you
not
can.
allowed to have an opinion. Well, you can, but you're gonna get shot pretty quick, aren't you?
Do you know what? There's big news over here. There was this woman. She was a teacher, and she was walking across the common, and she got killed. Some guy raped her and beat the crap out of her, and it's a terrible crime, obviously. But the media has just logged on to this, saying that women, are in danger, and and
that was
that
very similar to that lady that disappeared in the train off the train.
Yeah,
in the UK, wasn't it? Not so long ago, and it was a policeman.
But how they were reporting it, I think, is very exaggerated. The way they were reporting it, and what are they trying to do? Scare women from walking in the street? It doesn't make any sense. These things do happen, yes, and it's a tragedy, yes, obviously, and it should never have happened. And I think they've caught the guy now and stuff like that. But I think the media is really hyping up this thing about women being vulnerable in society. And I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case at all. I think, yes, things like this do happen. Maybe I'm digging myself a hole here, but I just think the media is just hyping it up. I don't know why this is happening with the media.
Clickbait, isn't it? It's like modern day clickbait.
I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know why it's happening in the media. It's horrible crime, yes, of course, right. But I just don't want women to be scared to go to the shops. Do you know what I mean?
I used to just like it watching the news. Well, I didn't like watching the news when I was a kid because it was boring. But when I did watch the news, they told you the news. They didn't give you their fucking opinion while they were giving you the news.
Yeah,
and
they do that now.
see,
don't they?
nowadays, everybody has to have an opinion on the news, and sometimes they get into trouble for it and sometimes they don't. But it all depends on which side you fall on,
Yeah.
But with Doctor Who and, like having companions and, now that they're friends, and family and all this weird shit, which I didn't know about. I had to look up what fam meant. I was like, why are they calling him? Why are they saying, "Oh, Jodie Whittaker and a fam"? And I'm like, what the fuck is a fam? So anyway, I had to look it up because I just didn't know, But it just doesn't work. It doesn't work as a thing where you have the male protagonist, and you have a female who can sort of she seems to get through it and work her
Yeah.
way through it, sort of thing. But in the end, the doctor will save the day. But
Yeah.
nowadays, with this modern era, it's twisted, and it's become more about the companion saving the day, and more about the companion saving the day, and less about the doctor and him being in the background. And I don't. That's even if it's a woman,
Mm.
But now it seems to be it's gone the other way where she is saving him. I don't saving everybody. I don't know. It's really confusing.
I mean, I haven't seen Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, but I hear that he is not even the one that actually kills the monster. It's like his sidekick that shoots an arrow in it or something like that.
I
And
hear that the Mandarin's back in that too. Oh, not
yeah, see it.
that
Yeah,
Mandarin, yeah.
yeah. And Shang-Chi gets
Gandhi.
yeah, Shang-Chi gets beaten up by his sister and gets kicked in the balls. Somebody told me that happens in it. And yet Shang-Chi's meant to be the master of Kung Fu, yet his sister beats him up. Interesting. But that's what I'm saying. When I hear these things, it really put me off the film. I was going to go and see it. And when somebody told me that, I thought, no, I can't watch this. I can't. But you know what it is, right? It's basically what they're doing is they're attacking your conscience because you grew up with James Bond being the man, being kicking ass and being this suave guy and stuff like that, and now they're trying to deconstruct that in front of your eyes, and trying to convince you that men are not, they shouldn't be strong, they should cry a lot, they should, they're
Oh no,
not worth anything.
they think we should feel like we should feel like a piece of shit. Is what
Yeah,
this,
but
that
it's all
they should say that that's who we are. You can help how you were born.
but it's
It's like,
all about taking down the white man, which is really interesting because that in itself is racist, and I'm
see,
not
now
even
it's
white.
I don't know if you have similar things in the UK, but
Mm,
they've just started. The ABC here is the BBC. They've
yeah.
started doing an educational thing now with children,
Mm,
and they're showing things from the 1980s and 1990s that we
mm,
used to find funny.
yeah.
Like we used to have this character called called Con the Fruiterer, and
Right.
he was a Greek, and he used to work in a fruit. When they used to collect fruit, put fruit in the bag for you and give
Yeah.
it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is what this character used to do. If you want to see him, you can find him on YouTube anyway. But anyway, so they said that was racist because he had like eight daughters, um, and he was like spitting in the bag and everything to put the fruit in and everything like that. And they're saying now that is modern day that was racism back then that we didn't know about. But the thing is, though, those kids wouldn't even discover that until years and years later.
Mm,
If this is stuff that was way back when. I still find it funny, actually. I know that's terrible, but I do. It's not
mm.
terrible. Actually, I don't care. I fucking love it. I grew up on that shit, and I don't find anything insulting. We had a term here. A W. I'll spell it. It's WOG. I don't know
Mm.
if you've had that term in the UK
Yeah,
before.
yeah, they
Yep,
they
yep.
used to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, they used to say that here too, and they used to have
Mm.
it on, used to say it on television as well.
Yes,
And
they
I
did.
said it once to one of my friends,
Mm.
and his mother was listening, and she went right off a rocket,
Mm.
and she said, "What? Don't you know what that means?" And I said, "Yeah, Western Oriental gentleman." And she just went, "What?" She's like, "Who told you that?" And I said, "My father." And my dad's like going, "No, no, no, not me."
Well,
So,
I mean,
it's just, but unless you like literally point it out and go, this is, like this is sexism, this is thing, you don't really notice. It's supposed to go all over your head.
the
But
thing is,
nowadays, every day they point out everything.
no, but the thing is, though, yeah, words like that shouldn't be said. Yes, that's true, and um, sexism.
Not
Uh,
anymore.
well, yeah,
But back
exactly.
then,
But
you're a kid.
that, yeah, but the thing is, though, it's part of history, and
Yeah,
what I'm against is re-racing history. People should know that
rewriting it.
things,
Yeah,
yeah, think people should know that things that were that not as is not accepted today did exist in the past, because that's part of history, and that's the only way you can learn to move forward, right? But to erase that history, I think is wrong, because that's part of history. We need to know where, look, we need to know where we came from, where we're going. That's what we need, right? To take away where we came from, and just tell you exactly what's happening now is it's not going to help. You need to know about World War II. You need to know about the
yeah.
destruction of of the Jews being gassed and all that. We need to know this history, because then we know not to do it in the future. We have to learn from the past to make a better future. If you
Yeah.
eliminate the past, we don't learn. And see, this is the thing I'm against, right? All right. If you talk about shows, we had Benny Hill, which is considered sexist now. We had what's his name, Paul Hogan, which it shows that show's considered
Oh, he's
sexist
been
now.
cancelled. Yeah.
What's I'm saying, but the thing is, though, we have to keep it in the past. We have to know the history, otherwise we don't know. Otherwise, we won't be able to move forward.
Mm.
It's like what the Germans were doing in World War II. They were burning books because they didn't want their youth to know another side of
And
an argument.
that's stuff we need to learn, so we don't make the
Well,
same mistakes. But the
well,
issue
that's
is to
but that's the thing. You see, you can't make an informed decision if you don't know both sides. And
exactly.
if today's society wants to eliminate the other side, then how are we supposed to learn,
And
or
most of the
make an
time they learn
informed
off.
decision?
The
You
problem
know?
is, see, um, like nothing against my American friends. I love you guys, Gary Nerdrotics. I love you, but
Mm,
like, just sometimes what they're saying about, just particularly about Australia and that, I understand where they get the information from, but sometimes it helps to see two sides of the story. And the fact is that there are things here. I understand that people, this whole thing with the whole vaccination thing, I honestly, I don't want to get into it, but I mean, I'm vaccinated because I've done it to protect my parents, because they're elderly. But
mm,
it's really because the fact is that a lot of people in Australia are scared. A lot of people are scared, you know, and so when they're sort of saying, "Well, you can't have a job now because you're not vaccinated," a lot of
mm,
people are going to get upset by that, because then they're going
yeah.
to feel like they're just suddenly cornered, and
Mm,
so they're going to erupt. And that's exactly what's happened here in Australia, and because people have been in lockdown so long, and but the thing is, they're like, "Well, we're trying to get you out of lockdown." So if
yeah.
you get vaccinated, you won't be in lockdown as much anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. I think the world as it stands now, and this is nothing new. They've done this in the past as well. That if they want, the people that are in charge, whoever they are, whether it be government or whatever, if they want to take advantage of the situation because of power and because of money, whatever, they will omit other sides of the coin so that you can't make an informed decision.
When
And this is what they're doing now, even
But
more
what
so
really
now.
upset me was when they compared Australia to Nazi Germany.
Yeah,
And
but
I'm
that's
like, it's nothing like it.
but you have to understand, right, that people with a brain will not accept that statement. Someone like me, I know that's
That really
rubbish,
upset me.
right?
That
So
really upset me. That really did. And
yeah,
especially, since people I knew were posting stuff like that. And I'm just like, you don't even live here. You don't even know the circumstances behind what's been happening to see that video footage. Yes, some of it's atrocious. Totally agree with you, but you've also got to put into context where it is,
yeah,
because somewhere like in Victoria, the police are sort of like a bit,
yeah,
so it's a place where they tried to book me and my mum once, for just crossing
mm,
over a railway track once. So
yeah,
it's they just they're horrible, you know, sort of.
But that's what
But
I'm saying. I think everyone has to bear in mind that with everything, with social media, with access media, with everything, people will admit the other side of the coin. As I keep saying, to make an informed decision, you need to know both sides, and you need to know the
exactly.
facts of both sides as well. I mean, you know, if I was to listen to access media and only access media, I'd think the world was falling apart. But the truth is, it's not falling apart, is it? I mean, I would
No.
think that all white men are a waste of space and should be eliminated from the world. No, I'm not going to believe that, obviously. But that's
It's
what
like
social media is kicking out.
some of these guys, though, especially we had recently with this whole, ruckus in
I mean,
Victoria
access
with,
media, obviously.
the
Yeah.
the union, the
Mm.
union, that whole thing with the anti-vaxxers, they were all unionists,
Mm.
and the issue that we had was the fact that they were a lot of them weren't even like real people, like they were actually like other people trying to cause problems as well. But the issue was that they were actually showing them what they were doing, and then on YouTube they had actual people in there, and they were showing them what they were doing as well, and they were calling themselves independent journalists. Hey, Wend.
Mm.
Um, and so the thing is, though, they're not independent journalists; they're just YouTubers. That's what the thing. So, so, but they were there. They were like, "Oh, we're going to show two sides of this story," but they weren't. They were just showing another side, and I could see that side. But the problem is, though, you need to weigh up both, don't you? You
Yeah,
really do.
but Matt, right? Even no one is immune to being how shall I put it, to being biased, right? Even sometimes if you listen to some of the people on YouTube and their opinions on anything, whether it be Doctor Who or James Bond or the way the world is, of course, obviously they're going to use their bias and stuff like that. There are some YouTubers just as bad as some of the people on Access Media. That is true, but what you have to do is you have to if you really want to know the truth, you have to seek out both sides and then come to some conclusion. That's what you have to do. You can't just
Thing is,
like
though, Ian,
you just
I mean,
can't take one side. You've got to look
I've
at
said that to
both.
you. I've said that to you too, though.
Mm.
I've now got to go to a workplace where they have an inclusion and diversity award, and the fact is, I know I'll never ever win that award. So and it's also the fact that you have to be so careful at work when you do things like that, because it is a sackable offence now. Any sort of
The
abuse,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
the thing is, Matt, you've got to pick your battles. Like for
Yeah.
instance, with something like that, I guess you have to comply because you need the money. You need to look after your mum. All that
Mm.
stuff. You need to do that. So it's not much of a chore really to nod your head and say yes, because this job is not the job that you want to be there forever, do you? Because you're gonna
No, no, no,
eventually
no.
move on. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what I used to do in certain jobs as well before I ended up doing what I ended up doing. I used to just nod my head and carry on. I never used to get involved in politics at all because it's all about making the money at the end of the day, isn't it? So you can survive. So
Yeah.
when you look at a job like that, yeah, you just comply,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Do you have to
So
go? Is it your
no, no,
time
no,
to
no.
go yet, or?
My phone, my watches just went off. I have these watches. I don't know how to turn it off. Hi, Wendy. You're right.
Yeah.
um,
I love
but
Wendy.
but
She's awesome.
but
I still
so
need to
but
watch that one from this morning.
But Matt,
That's
so
faithful.
what do you think then? Do you think Russell T is going to change it back to the way it was, or do you think he's gonna basically adhere but to the BBC's laws, which is the
I
the
think he's going to
the
give it to the BBC laws. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's definitely not going to repeat what he did before. A lot of people
mm,
seem to think he's going to repeat exactly what he did before, and I don't
mm,
think he will. I'll be surprised if he did, and it'd be great if he did. Look, I didn't hate his era. I didn't hate it. The only thing I really, really did not like in his
mm.
entire era was called Donna. But anyway, that's another story. But oh, fuck her. I really hate her. Shouty McShouty, I called her for the
but
longest
but
time. And
but
then when I heard she coming back.
But
Oh my
okay,
god.
right. So Matt, okay, let me ask you another question. Right, let me ask you another question. Okay, right. So, what would you think if Russell T cast a white male, but that person in real life was gay to play the Doctor? What would you think?
Fine, fine, as long as he
Fine.
doesn't act too campy, I guess. You know,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
what would you think if he
I would
implemented?
give it a chance. I mean, look, just
Uh,
because he's gay, I don't care, you
no,
know.
no,
But
but
I don't want it all to go, you know, to say, oh, here we've cast the first gay doctor, you know. I don't
no, but
want it to
that's what I'm
go that way.
saying. What would you think if they did that? Because you know that if they cast
If he's
someone
actually
gay,
gay in the series,
yes. So
oh
you
no,
know,
I'm out. I'm out. I'm
right?
out.
Okay, okay, right. So all right. So this is the next question, Matt, for your starter for 10. um, what's would you what would you think if they cast a female Doctor now? Would you be out if Russell
Um,
T did it? What would you think?
I really think they need a change. I don't think they can go straight into another female doctor now
Female
because the
Doctor.
first one didn't
Okay.
work. Did not work because to me that was kind of like a reboot in a way. You know that they tried already with the
Yeah.
female doctor because it was literally a different show.
Right.
And so yeah, I think if they get another one, I don't think it'll work. It's not really my. I'm out. I'm out.
You're out.
But
Okay. So
yeah,
okay.
I'd probably give the first episode like I did with Jodie Whittaker. Look, I gave her first season a go. I
Mm.
bought her Blu-ray. I bought her first season on disc. I've never
Oh.
watched them. They're still sealed. They're still sealed. So don't sue me for that. All right, they're still
Okay.
sealed.
Let me
And I
ask you
bought
another
them cheap
question.
too because they'd gone really cheap. And I was like, why are they so cheap?
Okay. Let me ask you another question then. So let's just another question for Matt. Okay. If RT um, uh, made the Doctor a white male, but didn't retcon
See, it
the
doesn't have to be
retcon.
white.
Now, hold on, hold on. Didn't retcon the retcon. Would you be on board?
If he ignored it, yes. If he never ever regards to it
No, no.
again,
But if he carried on,
oh
would
God,
you?
from with the timeless child thing? No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no.
Right. So you'd be out. You'd be
It's
out.
just, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's too weird. It's just too weird. It's like
Okay. Right.
I'm so used to having, he used to be my fucking hero, Ian.
Yeah.
Doctor
Same
Who
here.
was. I used to pretend to be fucking Doctor Who. I'd regenerated and become Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and it was just the fact that it's just doesn't look anything like Doctor Who anymore. At
Yeah.
least when I first you know how you were talking about different ways of see how you used to be able to see Doctor Who and through streaming services and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
now. I mean, Doctor Who literally changed the landscape for Australia
Mm.
when the first series came here 6 months after the BBC had shown it, the
Yeah.
original the first new RTD series, and by then everybody had seen it because we'd all downloaded it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it was the fact that they'd gone, oh, this is a bit funny. People are why are the ratings down? This used to be such a winner for us,
Mm.
and so they said, well, people have already watched it, and so it was David Tennant and his first series,
Mm.
and they got it a little bit closer to, I think it was like a month to 2 months
Yeah.
after the first. So it was getting closer. So, but then all of a sudden it was like the next night, from when it was
Yeah.
originally,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'd actually put it on the iPlayer. We've got an iPlayer here as well.
Mm.
So they put it on the iPlayer as soon as it was available, and then they'd show it, live on the actual TV, that
Yeah.
same night, whatever night it was on. So, if you wanted to really watch it, you could watch it on the iPlayer. They didn't
Okay.
care.
So what I'm getting from you, Matt, is that you want a white male Doctor, and you want the retcon. You want them to retcon the retcon and start from there for the new Doctor Who. That's what you want. That's what a lot of
Yes.
fans want.
No,
Yeah.
I just want total ignoring. But that said,
Mm.
when you say I want a white doctor,
Yeah,
I'm
well,
quite happy. Look,
mm.
to me, that Sacha Dhawan,
Yeah, he could
I
have been a
reckon he
good
would have made
doctor.
a yeah, he could have
Yeah,
been
he
a
could have
great
been.
doctor.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
but way he acts, like acting like the master, the who, all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
weird
yeah.
shit. I hate that.
Yeah, so do I. So do I.
And if he'd have been the Delgado type master,
Yes.
where he'd just been
Yes.
like, straight,
Yeah.
like just like calculating,
Calculated, yep.
like I'm going to, think ahead of time, and then everything goes to fucking shit later. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
At least I love that. And like
Yeah.
Mind of Evil, it's like, oh, I control you. You don't control me. And then like
Yeah.
even he gets scared of that shit. I love all that. I love it all. But it's just the fact that I don't care about Sacha Dhawan now.
No.
I don't want to watch his master. I don't want to watch any of that. It's tainted. That
I
whole side of it is tainted.
I
Even the
suspect that the BBC and this new version of the Doctor, which we have to wait 2 years for, I suspect that there's still going to be an agenda linked with it, because I can't see the BBC changing their what they
see,
think of. I can't see it.
I never minded with I never minded the fact that they were Scottish or anything like that.
I did.
Like
I did. I think that the Doctor's accent should not have an regional thing at all.
Can I ask you a question, though, Ian?
Go on then.
You're gonna hate me for this.
Yeah.
What if they cast an Australian actor?
Well, you know what? All right, to me, Matt, it doesn't matter who they cast as long as they have an accent that's neutral free, and they are basically the Doctor. They act like the Doctor. They conform with what the show is supposed to be about. I don't you like for instance when they cast a Welsh guy as James Bond, didn't they? I didn't care as long as he was James Bond. That was Timothy Dalton. He was Welsh, wasn't it? Was he Welsh
They cast an
something
Irish
like
one, didn't they?
they cast an Australian
Irish?
as Bond, didn't they?
Oh, they did.
So
oh, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So,
absolutely.
but that didn't matter to me as long as he was acting.
He couldn't act either.
Yeah, no, he couldn't. He couldn't. He couldn't.
He sold jumpers.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like David Tennant, Scottish. I don't mind as long as they stick with the.
To me, that's the same place.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I mean, even if they cast an American as the Doctor, and I wouldn't mind that. That wouldn't bother me as long as it's Doctor Who that we know and it conforms to what Doctor Who is. I mean, if I was going to cast American, I would cast what's his name? God, it's gone out of my head now. Just had it in my the guy that was in Jurassic Park.
Sam Neill.
No, the other one.
He's New Zealander anyway.
No, the other one.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. I'd cast Jeff Goldblum as the Doctor. He'd be amazing because he's so alien as well, isn't he? He'd be amazing. He'd be amazing. I have to tell him to.
I always wanted Vincent Price to be the Doctor. Or
actually,
at least the Master.
In the 60s, he would have knocked it out the park, wouldn't he? If they cast Vincent Price as maybe the Master or the Doctor, he would have knocked it out the park, wouldn't he? Yeah. Definitely, because that was the tone of those days. But today, we're talking about a different type of tone. Now we need an actor to bring the Doctor to life. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum. We need the Doctor to be brought to life in a new way now, don't we? And I'm not talking about sexual way. I'm not talking about gay, pansexual, none of that stuff. We need a new version of the Doctor that will bring some life to the show, because it's very important that the person they cast is very doctory, if you know what I mean.
I just want to be entertained.
That too. That's all part of being entertained.
It's not that hard. I don't want to be preached to. I don't want to be entertained.
Yeah, that's not good.
When the weird thing is though, Ian, too, because I know a lot of people say, "Well, there was always politics in Doctor Who and all this sort of stuff," but only you would have picked that up, because we would never have ever picked that up because we live in Australia. So the whole miners' strike or whatever it is and all this sort of thing.
But it wasn't in your face though, Matt. Matt,
no,
it wasn't in your
it.
face.
You didn't get it either. You didn't get it like till later anyway as well. Yeah. But we never got it at all because we didn't understand that there was politics involved. But there's so much politics entrenched in today's society everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
we
true.
get it. and unfortunately, we see it everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
not.
you have signs now with half man, half woman, and back in the day they had a similar thing with the in a movie called Freaks. If you ever seen that from 1933,
I think I've seen it once. I can't remember it though.
you
But
need to
actually
watch it.
freaked me
It's
out.
good.
It freaked me out. I think I saw it when I was in
It
my
was banned in the
20s.
UK actually.
Yeah, yeah. A
Mm.
lot of things were banned. When I was growing up in
Yeah.
my 20s, we saw a lot of stuff on VHS that was banned. We saw this one called, you must remember, it was called the Six Ways of Death or 10 Ways of Death. And it had real footage of
Faces
people
of Death.
dying. That's it,
Faces
Faces
of
of
Death.
Death. And that was
It's on
banned. But
YouTube. It's
oh, is
on
it?
YouTube. Yeah.
Well, it's
And the
tame now,
sequel.
but yeah, it's tame now,
Don't
but
look it up. Don't look it up.
but
It'll haunt you for your life.
but in those days, right, it was something that you shouldn't watch. I remember we had I saw the footage of the guy in Twilight Zone get killed with the helicopter. It was on YouTube for a point,
Yes.
and then they took
Still
it
is.
down.
It
Oh
still
no,
is.
is it? Huh.
Look, it's not there's not much. There's not like much to it. It's just
Yeah.
you don't see anyone get hurt. It's just the fact that the
No.
helicopter falls on top of them and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing thing. But it's like something, it's like don't ever Google autopsies, famous autopsies. It's not good. It's not good. It'll haunt you
But
as well.
if I was the showrunner, if I was to cast a doctor, I keep saying this for today's time, for what's happening today, I would cast Tom Ellis because you need the Americans back. You need the Americans to like Doctor Who again, and it just seems the logical step is to cast someone like Tom Ellis that talks to the Americans as well as talk to the British people as well. And Tom Ellis is English and he's famous in America and he's
Yeah.
famous over here. So that is the logical step to take to cast the Doctor.
But when Matt Smith took the role, he wasn't famous anywhere.
No, but that's
I'd never heard of him
But
before.
no, but we're talking. Okay,
And he was
look at
huge in America.
Yeah, but Matt, look at the situation that we're in,
And
right?
here, he was huge here too.
When Matt Smith got cast, he was coming off David Tennant, so it didn't matter if they cast someone that nobody knew because the
True.
show was riding on a wave, right? But now
True.
the show is dead, right? We need to capture the Americans. We need to capture the rest of the world. And the key is who you cast as the Doctor. If they cast Ollie, what's his face, as the Doctor, no one in America is going to be interested. If they cast another woman as the Doctor, you're going to lose the fan base. Plus, you're going to alienate, the people, the rainbow people. If basically you don't cast the right woman, right? And that's wrong. That's not going to work too. So the only option is to make it more mainstream instead of trying to stick politics in it and go the way that the Doctor should do. If they don't do that, it's going to be a waste of time for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
A waste of money, a waste of time for us, and then nobody's going to be watching, and then they're going to have to pull the plug on it. They have to go the way they're supposed to go. You know what I mean?
Okay. Can I ask you another question? Right.
Go on, Ed.
Yeah. As a director, I know you have to go soon, so
yeah, sure.
let me know. But when as a director, if someone had said to you, "Hey, we've got this slot on Doctor Who season 13," would you be interested? Would you say yes or would you say no?
What to do? What to direct? To direct an episode?
Direct, yeah.
What with Jodie?
Yes.
Do you know what? I'd probably take the gig because I'd probably take the gig because obviously it's work, and I'll do it for the money, and do it to make more contacts. That definitely will do that. But I don't have to agree with the situation to actually agree to work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'd probably do that. But if I was showrunner, I'd be so in trouble with the BBC. I'd be creating stories that make sense and casting someone that people will like and stuff like that. And they'll probably kick me out before we even go to production.
That's the thing. They probably go, well, hang on. Sorry, Ian. We've read everything that you've said on social media. So. And these
Doctor, yeah.
YouTube videos are absolutely libelous.
I know I'm in trouble because obviously if I'm ever hired by the BBC, they'll have someone that will check everything that I've done on YouTube and stuff, and I probably won't even get to the interview. Do you know
No,
what I mean? So
no.
that's the thing. So I can't take back what I've said. And the thing is, though, I believe everything that I've said. I believe the doctor should be a white male. And
Yeah,
I'm
true.
the doctor can be a black guy, yes, right. But
Yeah.
I'm in love with the doctor from Cambridge, from Oxford. The Peter Davison, the Tom Baker,
Well,
the
that's
John
them now
Pertwee,
anyway. They're in
yeah,
Oxford.
and the Matt Smith and the David Tennants. Those are the doctors that I love. And if I was in charge, I would aim for that. That
I,
doesn't make me a racist
I,
or
I
a,
mean,
you know what I
I
mean?
would never ever think an Indian doctor would work. He's like, oh, come follow me.
Well,
That's the weird stuff. No,
you
I'm
shouldn't
just
say stuff
saying.
like that. You're going to get slaughtered, mate. You're going to get
No,
slaughtered.
but I'm just saying, like, but I mean, an India. If you got someone from India to come in to play the doctor, you
Well, they
couldn't.
wouldn't, would they? I mean, Sacha
They'd
Dhawan
have to get
is
someone with an English accent. Yeah, exactly.
well,
Like I
Sacha
said that
Dhawan,
before,
Sacha
he's
Dhawan.
fine.
I
He'd be
would,
good.
yeah, if they said we're going to cast Sacha Dhawan as a doctor, I would be on board for that, definitely. But what I'm saying is that I essentially think that if something is conceived as a white male, it should be played by a white male. Yeah, they make this big excuse that the doctor can transition between a white male and then somebody with curly hair and stuff like that. But
Well, to me,
originally,
it's already been broken anyway. They
yeah,
can't really take it back. They can't.
well, they can, of course they can.
They
Anything's
can't.
possible. Of
But
course they can.
oh, come on.
Of
How
course they
can they
can.
actually? They can't reverse the whole fact that she was in the Matrix unless they're not going to do it. They're
There
not
are
going to do
thousands
it.
of ways.
They
There,
can
but
do it, but they're not going to do it.
yeah, I
Though,
know. But
Ian.
Matt, there's thousands of ways they can retcon the retcon.
They're not
There are
going to do it,
thousands.
though,
I know.
Ian. That's what I'm telling you. That they can do it, but they won't. You
we'll,
know
we'll
it, and I know it.
Well, we'll see, right? Because I do like to live in Hopeland.
Would you have
You know
liked
what
to
I
have
mean?
seen a show about that the little black girl in the
No, no,
first one?
obviously
Well,
not.
that's what
Obviously
I'm
not.
saying.
But
That's what
they
I'm
can.
saying. I'm saying no one wants to watch like an Indian doctor. She didn't even say anything anyway. Apparently,
The
I
little
never watched
girl.
the
No,
show.
she didn't.
Yeah,
She didn't.
none of them did. And the
Yeah.
fact, it didn't make any sense. It
But
doesn't
what?
make any sense.
But what I'm saying is that they can retcon the retcon. It's very easy. There's millions of ideas how you
They
can
can, but
retcon
they
that.
won't.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I
But okay.
100% agree
Right.
with you.
Okay. Right. But right. Yes, the chances of them retconning the retcon is slim. But I would rather live in hope that Russell T will do that than at this moment in time think that it's not going to happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Because like I remember Gary was saying Doctor Who is dead. You can't see the BBC doing this, whatever. Yes, he's probably right. And the same thing what Az said as well. But I would like to live in hope. I would like to believe that beyond the odds that Russell T can come in and do what's right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd like to live there rather than than no hope at all, if you know what I mean. There is a
Yeah.
chance. There's a small chance. A tiny
Look, I
chance.
mean,
It's just like trying to destroy the Death Star. There was a tiny chance of firing that little thing that goes into the hole and destroys the Death Star. But
well,
but Luke did
what
it.
if, what if the doctor was Chinese?
It
You
doesn't
reckon that'd go to
matter.
China?
Yeah, no. As I said, I think the Doctor is a white male with a very English accent, very English. That's what I think, and
Yeah,
I've
no,
always enjoyed that
I've
aspect of the
always
Doctor.
enjoyed that too. I have.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, if they wanted to do something different, that's fine. They may as well do it now because I don't know. To me, it's been tarnished. I don't
If
see it unless what you said.
mm,
They actually retcon a lot of this shit.
I
But they
I
won't.
if I was in charge, and I tell you right now, I retcon the retcon because I've got thousands of ideas how to do that. I would
Me
cast a
too.
white male as the Doctor, and I couldn't care less about the backlash I get. But I'll also have a spin-off series with Romana and try and convince the BBC to actually bring back Paul McGann as the Eighth Doctor and create the Eighth Doctor Time War. as a series as well, to fill in that space between, because we don't know what actually happened there. All we know is what happened in the 50th and what we've been told. But to actually see Paul McGann fight that war, that would be amazing, right? That
Yeah,
would be
yeah. No,
bloody
it would be.
amazing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I like Paul McGann. I actually
yeah,
do, and I see that as canon. I was really surprised to find out a lot of people aren't, fans of that movie. And
mm,
to be honest, I couldn't care less about whether or not he kissed someone or was half human. I was like, oh, okay, he's going half human, okay. And but
yeah,
to me, I kind of want to watch the thing is though, like Ian,
mm,
I can watch Doctor Who. I could get another episode of John Pertwee that I've only just recently watched. I could watch that all over again, and it'd be like a whole new show.
yeah.
I
Uh,
don't I don't take it all in like, it's all in my head, the whole, through the whole script and everything like that. I don't see it like that. It's an adventure, to me. And so I enjoy it for what it is.
the thing is, it's okay to have a running story in between seasons, like what he did with Bad Wolf and stuff. That's fine. But what you need standalone episodes. Like me and Wendy was on Dan's channel, and we were talking about the third episode of the Chris Eccleston run, and that
I need to
episode
watch
was a
that.
standalone. That was a standalone episode, and it was perfectly fine. So they need to do
Yeah.
more of that
No, I like
if
that
they're
one. That was
bringing
the
back the season.
what's
Undead,
Undead?
the Undead,
Undead,
yeah,
yeah. Oh
yeah,
no, I like that one. That was probably my
yeah,
favorite out of all the Ecclestons, especially with when he used to meet someone famous.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Charles Dickens. Bloody
Charles
hell,
Dickens, yeah. That's what I'm
it's like
saying. That they need to do more of that instead of trying to I remember when Chibnall came on and he was saying, "Oh, we're going to go back to the original Doctor and talk about history and stuff like that," and it didn't work. It failed miserably. That Rosa episode was an
it's
insult to
it's like
me.
when Bolschek was saying about
Mm.
an episode of, I think it was Bolschek. He was saying about an episode of
What's
Colin
that?
Baker, one of audios from Colin Baker,
Yeah,
and that he apparently met Lovecraft, and he was calling Lovecraft a racist all the time, even
yeah.
though he
It's just,
wasn't actually being racist. He just said, "Oh, he's a racist, and he's a racist, he's a
but
racist."
that's just politics all over, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
politics. If
And
you're going to
that's
put
never
politics in,
what they used to meet. It's like when Matt Smith's doctor met Hitler. He's like, "Oh, hello."
well, they
He
made a
just
joke
he
out of that,
didn't.
didn't they?
Yeah, well, they did, but that was the
Mm.
point. That was
Yeah.
the point. I mean, Hitler was not a very nice man. He wasn't. And, I'm amazed that the doctor actually held so much restraint. I think
Yeah.
him and Davros would get along well. But, other than that,
I mean,
that,
also the new Doctor Who needs to have some kind of continuity logic barrier that encompassed the whole of Doctor Who, because 9 times out of 10 it was they always had things in it that didn't make any sense, that broke the logic barrier for some reason. Like, for instance, when Rory and Amy was on the roof, and then in New York, and the Statue of Liberty started moving, but as an angel, that didn't make any sense because the Statue of Liberty is not made of rock. Do you know what I mean? And also, when you look away from them, when you look away from the angels, that's when they strike. The amount of time they looked away from the Statue of Liberty, why didn't it just crush them? Do you know what I mean? So internal logic needs to be applied to
it does.
Doctor Who
It
now,
does.
because there's so many episodes that even in the Moff era that just didn't make any sense logic wise.
That really stupid one with the whale. And
The whale? You mean the flying fishes?
No, the
that
one with
Christmas
the,
one.
No.
The one with the whale,
the beast
with,
below.
yes,
the one with
that
the
was
Stitchy.
okay. I didn't mind that one.
Terrible.
I didn't mind it. I thought
that was the one. That was the most terrible episode I ever seen. But the thing was, though, that was the one that, for me, nailed it for Matt Smith, for me as a doctor.
He did, yes.
I was just like, holy shit, I feel like you're the fucking doctor. I'm like, wow.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was obviously the doctor operates in possible futures. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember he was saying that to I think it was Joe once. What we do here will infect the future, but it's one possible future. Do you know what I mean? So and then David Tennant put the icing on the cake about time travel. He said time travel is timey-wimey. It's not one straight line. It's all over the place. And in the Doctor Who universe, that's what time is. You know,
Yes, but
it's not a closed loop. It's not an open loop. It's not anything. It's all timey-wimey. It's all mixed up. So that gives them the freedom to do anything. Let's face it.
see though, like
Yeah,
Doctor Who, really the whole thing with time hasn't
yeah,
affected him before. The only time it ever affects him is when he meets himself. That's it.
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
actually affect him. So when, now it's affected him in a big way, and that the whole thing with this bloody, timeless child stuff,
Yeah.
and when he met, that other woman from the Jadoon type place, whatever that was,
Mm.
the thing with the lighthouse, which I never watched because I've never watched one single episode, and I've been great for it. And I'm glad I didn't now, Ian.
But that's the thing. You see, I don't consider that stuff canon at all. I don't consider any of the Jodie era canon at all. And as I said, if I was in charge, I would retcon all of that nonsense. I would basically put one idea is to put Jodie in another universe, another parallel universe, and say that
Wouldn't that be great?
yeah, and say that it
It's not
wasn't
going to
part.
happen, but it'd be great.
But I would, one possible idea is to start off with the regeneration of Peter, and he regenerates, and then something happens, and something splits, and then they split, and then we get our Doctor, which is the new Doctor, and the Jodie thing lives in another universe, another dimension, whatever. That's what I would do. That's one idea. Obviously, it's one idea, but just saying that there are thousands of ideas to retcon what Chibnall has done, and I don't know what damage he's going to do to this season.
No,
the
exactly
next two.
it.
So that's the thing. So we have to wait to see what he does, and then figure out whether we can retcon that as well. I'd retcon the whole thing personally, and bring the Doctor back home. That's what I would do. But yeah. That's what I would do. I don't know about what you would do, but that's what I would do. You're right, mate.
Yeah. I'm just having a bit of a cough. Excuse me. I've had the flu. What can I do? Yeah, and that's the thing. He's got an entire season to do.
Yes.
So it's like, what the fuck are you going to do to it?
Yeah. He's it's and I think they're bringing back Unit. We saw a picture from the Jodie era. They're bringing back Unit.
Oh, look, Unit was never the same after when they brought it back the first time.
They should have. What I don't understand, was he sick at the time? The guy who played the Brigadier. Why didn't they bring the Brigadier back?
Sarah Jane. He was in. No, look, Russell T didn't want anything to do with the weird thing was, like, he's. I shouldn't really say he's hypocritical, but he is hypocritical. He said, "I don't want anything. I don't want this to become a pension plan for ex-Doctor Who stars, And so that was after Sarah Jane had been on, And so I think he only felt like he had to put the Brigadier in one of her episodes instead. But I
that was terrible.
I think he was supposed to be in another one, but yeah, no, it was terrible.
The thing is though, you've got to you got to respect the past, and with that's the reason why I think they should have definitely had the Brigadier back in when they introduced Unit, maybe as an advisor, because he's obviously probably would have been retired. Just as a little scene, maybe on the phone or something, so that we knew that he was still alive. That's what they should have done. That's what I think, anyway. So
they had him on the phone; he was dead.
yeah. Well, they told him. Yeah, they told him. Yeah, he had died.
Like, oh man, don't say that. It's the weird thing is, it's so timey-wimey that it's like, well, I'll go back before he died.
Yeah, but
and then they
that's
made
the
him
thing.
Into a
Yeah, but that's the thing with the Doctor. He doesn't really want to go back in his own timeline. He never wants to do that because he believes that the natural course of things is the natural course of things. Yes, he will interfere and save people, but when it comes to his own timeline, he doesn't really want to go back and mess with that. He does, though. He does, like in the 50th, he went and mucked around with his own timeline. But that's the thing, you see. It's very complicated, the logic. in Doctor Who, especially when it comes to time travel. But the show is not about time travel. That's the thing. When
No.
you think about it very carefully, it's about a madman in a blue box and his adventures. That's what it's basically about.
I always remember him as, well, see, because when you're a kid, when you're only like 5 or whatever, you don't really
Yeah.
think about it as time. You know, you
Mm.
don't know anything about history. You don't.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you think about him going into space, and I remember like John Pertwee with Alpha Centauri.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
and and those characters, and being that to me was like in space, and
But my favorite episodes, Matt, are the episodes that stand alone. Like, for instance, the Robots of Death. I love the
yep.
Robots of Death because it was like, they had to figure out what was going on. It was like a Murder She Wrote episode, wasn't it?
And you
Let's
know
face
what's
it.
so fucking cool about that? You know what's
Yeah,
so cool about that? A
yeah,
savage woman running around in a spaceship. Fucking
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
It
and
was.
yeah, and she was gorgeous as well.
And she had a
So
knife.
lovely. Yeah, and she was the one. See, look how progressive Doctor Who was. She was the one that was kicking ass. Do you know what I mean? She was the one that you'd expect a male would be, punching people and stuff, but it wasn't. It was Leela that was protecting the
Yeah.
Doctor. There's one scene where she jumps from a step, and
She
she
was
literally did it in real life. Obviously, that was her. So you know what I mean. And she was basically kicking
she
ass.
was this is the thing. The companions leaped from one to another as well, like the doctors. Like
Mm,
you had Leela leap from Sarah Jane, who was just a
yeah,
journalist,
yeah,
and then you have, like the doctors, where you have like someone like Patrick Troughton leap from William Hartnell, who was
yeah,
just like, wasn't as active,
yeah,
you know? And yet I
yeah.
think they were the same age. I don't know. I think they were the same age when they
I think
started.
if
So,
if you were to introduce a new companion, I still believe in the old trope that the Doctor travels with a woman. And if you were to introduce a
mm,
new companion, I wouldn't pick a companion from this time, from whatever time we're operating from. I'd pick someone
no,
maybe from the
that's what I was
future
thinking
or
of
from
the
the
other day.
past or
No, from
something.
the
Yeah.
past. Because when I was watching Web of Fear,
Mm,
unfortunately, I watched that horrible, horrible animated episode. It was terrible.
yeah.
But when I was watching it, I was like the first thing I thought was, okay, Patrick Troughton's companions is a Scottish Highlander,
That's right. Yep.
and he's got
Yep.
someone from Victorian England whose name is
That's right.
Victoria.
Yep. Yep.
And when they come, they don't know what things are or anything like
Yep.
that, but they seem to fit in very well. And
Mm,
I thought, why can't we have that now? There never has been anyone. And you're
mm.
right. There has never been any companions in this new series that are from the past or the
Yep.
future.
Or the future. Yep. I agree. I mean, that's exactly what they should do, in my opinion. They should have someone. I mean, I had this idea that maybe his companion could be a female, but was like a replicant or something. Someone that was, so in other words, like you have the sonic screwdriver, and the sonic screwdriver is the quick cutaway to actually opening doors. I
Yeah.
believe that a companion, right, is twofold. The companion is the one that actually tells the audience what's going on, but also the companion could do all the heavy lifting as well. So if we had a female that was gorgeous and was like a replicant that had
I
augmented
don't want to
strength,
do any
or
heavy lifting.
well, you know what I mean, had
Yeah.
augmented strength or something like that, and she could do all the heavy lifting when it comes to heavy lifting or protecting the Doctor. That would be amazing too, wouldn't it? And maybe it might be like Data, where it doesn't understand emotions, is trying to grasp the whole concept of compassion and all that stuff, and that would be interesting as well, rather than just getting someone from London Wandsworth or some nonsense like that. Do you know what I mean? I think it would add another dimension to the relationship between a Doctor and a synthetic being. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might
Yeah.
be
No, I do get
interesting.
it. They
Yeah,
had a
that might be
synthetic
interesting.
being though in the Peter Davison era. That was
Which one was
weird.
that? Yeah, but that was a stupid toy that didn't move. It just didn't move. Yeah, yeah,
His head moved. That was it. He's
yeah.
flipping his
That was
lips
it.
and
Yeah,
I was like,
but
is
I
it
mean,
gonna move?
yeah, but I mean, even K9 is a good companion because obviously it's very unusual. It was a dog, and
Oh, I loved
it
K9.
did all the heavy lifting for the Doctor as well. That's what I'm saying.
And see,
So,
the weird thing was
mm,
it's kind of one of those what do they call it? The Mandela effects, where I always felt that he
Yeah.
belonged with Sarah Jane, and he was never in a Sarah Jane
No, he
adventure
wasn't. Yeah, he
until like
wasn't.
later,
Yeah, yeah, he wasn't.
and it
I
was
mean,
always with Leela
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
and Brahmana.
But that's what I'm saying. I think they're missing some important points here in Doctor Who, especially with this new. Obviously, this new era is complete rubbish, but they're missing important points for new Doctor Who. These are the most important points, right? The Doctor should be a male. In my opinion, should be white. In my opinion, should be have the accent from Oxford or Cambridge or whatever. Typical British guy. You should cast someone that can talk to the Americans and the rest of the world, and also here. You should have standalone adventures. You should have an attractive companion. You should have spin-offs that people actually want to see. It's not rocket science. Let's face it, is it? You know,
No,
it is. There's no confusion there.
no.
But yet people find it incredibly complicated. Though we need to talk. We need to tell people this, or we need to. It's bollocks. In my opinion, it really is. We need to make this thing work.
But
Yes, said it'd be my dream
like,
job to be a showrunner for the BBC. But anyway,
do you think it's
mm.
yeah? Well, it'd be everybody's dream job to be showrunner, and that's the weird thing. It's like, well, it's like, oh, we can't get anyone for the job. It's like, you got Russell T Davies again. What the hell? As if someone else wasn't going to do it. And that's another thing, is that it's not going to regenerate, is it? It's not going to be another, because that's what I liked about different producers. They did different things until the Chibnall era, and then he just
Yeah,
fucked it all up. But
yeah,
it's that's not going to happen. So it could just go back, replay all over again, and he's probably
yeah.
not learned anything new besides his old wokedom type crap.
Well, we'll see. As I said, I'd like to live
Yeah.
in hope.
Oh look, I'm more happy about the fact that he's coming back. That they've not really said that they fucked up, but the fact is that
Yes,
they know that they have, and that
yes,
they've had to get the person who brought it back. And I'll never ever say anything bad about RTD for the
yeah,
fact that he brought it back and made it mainstream and made everybody excited, even those in Australia that hadn't even seen it. And we just knew that there was a show coming back. And, like I said, I ended up downloading it, and I got a really bad copy of it, actually. WMV file, would you believe? And I ended
I
up
think
having to
you're.
learn
I
another
think you're.
technique.
I think you're right, though. I think you put bang the nail in the head. Basically, I think actually them hiring Russell T again, it's a subtle way of saying we failed. That's what it is.
And I'm finding it so funny watching all these really these idiots on YouTube and that as well. The ones doing the whole Indian accents and all that sort of thing that I took the piss out of earlier. It's just the fact that these people are saying, "Wow, isn't it great? RTD's back." It's like, yeah, but why is he back? You're not saying. Why aren't you
Well,
saying? Why
that's the
isn't he
question,
going?
right? That's
Yeah.
the question. I mean, as I
Yeah,
said, right?
they're not going to answer it, are they? Because they know exactly that it's failed. The whole thing has
Well,
failed, and it's
they're not going to admit it failed. But what I'm saying is that I
nobody
think,
will.
of course not. I think I'd like to hope that Russell T is going to come in and do the right thing. I'd like to think that Russell T thinks this era, Chib's era, is absolutely bullshit. And I like to think that he's going to retcon it. And I'd like to rather live in there than rather be negative and say Doctor Who is dead. It might very well be dead, but if we had that attitude when World War II was happening, then we'd all be dead. We might as well not even fight for it. We're doomed anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
if you
that
don't
was
have
another
hope
thing,
to
wasn't
move
it? I mean,
forward.
I remember people complaining about the first series because they didn't get off planet enough. And then in the second series, they got off planet, but then they said there's not enough love interest. So all of a sudden, to me, yeah. Then all of a sudden, it became about the Doctor and Rose, and it was just more about them and their relationship.
Well, Gallifrey
And
had disappeared at that moment in time, innit? I mean, it was only
but I
then. It
always Oh,
It was
and
just them,
that was
wasn't it?
another mistake. I understand why he did it, but to
Mm.
be honest, I was heartbroken when they said Gallifrey was gone, because I was like, oh no, you're saying he's the only one left of his planet, I'm the only one left of my kind and all that.
Yeah,
I
but
was
you
like,
missed
you're
those
going
big
down that
collars,
route,
didn't
but
you?
that's sort of like saying you're half human.
But
Sorry?
you missed those big collars that they wore. You know, the the Time Lords
Oh,
had those huge collars. Where's those
I
collars
don't know.
gone?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that the Doctor was a renegade. I mean, I'm a
Yeah, so
bit of
do
an
I.
anarchist. You know that myself. I'm a bit of an
Yeah.
anarchist. So, I'm a bit naughty. And so, so it was good that, that I sort of related to the Doctor, because he was like, you stiff freaking things, I'm leaving, even if he was that age, like of an elderly
But
age.
I think I'd like to think the reason why the Doctor abandoned his post or whatever was because of the fact that the people that were in charge, the Time Lords that were in charge, they considered themselves to be gods. They considered themselves to be more than what the universe it is. So they became very up themselves. And I like to believe, because it's not been proven via canon, that the Doctor just thought, no, I can't be part of this, and then he runs away from his responsibilities. That's what I think. Because if you look at all the Time Lords, especially in the 50th, and
Yeah.
and all the even in the Five Doctors, they're all very much like politicians, aren't they? They're all
Yeah,
very
they're all
much
stiff.
we were in
Yeah.
charge, and they're all very very stiff. And the Doctor's the one person from that era that thought, nah, I don't want to be a stiff, ludicrous idiot. I want
Yeah.
to see the stars. I want to experience what life is beyond this horrible politics. So that's why
Yeah.
he jumped ship. That's what I'd
Yeah.
like to believe, but whether he did
That's
that or
what
not,
I've
it's another
always
matter.
felt, and that's what I
Yeah,
think, but you know what? I think that's what RTD and Stephen Moffat also believed,
yeah, yeah.
that that's what they did, I mean, it was just the fact that this other coot had other, ideas in his head that he wanted to get out. He was like, "Oh, I've got the play set, I might as well fuck it all up, and piss all over it."
And
And so
also, I really, really did hate the bit where Clara, they stuck Clara in the canon, didn't they? Where she goes, you need to
yeah,
go in
I like
this,
that,
you need to go in this Type 40. What you call it, Type
I
40
like that.
TARDIS. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I
no, that
hated
was a bit
that.
awkward. That was a bit
Hated it.
yes, it was a bit awkward. I liked it in the fact that I got to see all the Doctors, and it was sort of like a little
Yeah,
nod for each
yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
like a little mini episode to Doctor Who
Yeah,
for the 50th, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yes, it was.
It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little that's what I think it was anyway. But,
And the biggest mistake they made was casting. Even though I like John Hurt, they should have been Paul McGann.
oh god,
Should
yeah.
not have been John Hurt. If you were to ask the fans, who would you prefer, a new War Doctor or bring back Paul McGann? Overwhelming, they would have said Paul McGann. And I don't
Yeah, no,
understand
I
why
100%
Moffat
agree
did
with you.
that.
And
Yeah.
it did annoy me. I've got the big chief
Mm,
figure of Doctor Who, because of John Hurt,
yeah.
his Doctor. But it's really weird. You can't really fit him in anywhere, because he's not really the eighth, and he's not really the ninth.
No, he's
And
in
it and
between.
and it doesn't, that to me, just it's as bad as the whole regeneration. When I was a kid, right?
Mm,
This is another thing going back. I used to look when I first saw, my regeneration from John Pertwee to Tom Baker. When I first
yeah.
saw that, I was like, "Oh wow, that's awesome!" And then I wanted to see the next one, how they were going to regenerate. And now all
Mm.
they do is just fucking orange flames coming everywhere, and I'm
Well,
like,
well, no, the thing is, okay, right, let's explain the orange flames, right? So when Chris Eccleston changed, this is obviously not canon, this is what I think. When Chris Eccleston changed from him to David Tennant, the reason why he burst into orange flames because he sucked all that power out of Rose. Do you remember?
right, yep, yep,
So he sucked all, so that to me made sense, right? Then when David Tennant changed from David Tennant to Matt Smith, he sucked all that power from when Wilf was stuck in the. Remember when Wilf, he took all that radiation,
yes,
and do you remember? So he had all
yes,
that stuff in him. So, and even more so, I'm assuming that was more powerful than when the Doctor sucked all that stuff out of Rose. So when he changed, because he was trying to hold it back, wasn't he? He wanted to say goodbye to everyone. He was trying to, and he didn't want to change. So then when he changed, when he said he didn't want to go, and he changed, and he blew up most of the TARDIS, because that was all the power coming out. Now, when Matt Smith went from Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi, nothing happened. Because he didn't suck any crappy stuff into him, did he? He just went bang, and he was Peter, right? So that's that's the reason why I think. Because when you look back,
Peter Capaldi's regeneration.
All right.
So he's one into her anyway. I never watched that one.
But so when you look back at the classics, right, when they changed from one person to the next, there was no explosion, right? No. And even when Tom Baker's last episode, there was the Watcher wandering around, wasn't he? And he was the Doctor.
That was the thing. It was something different, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is that I don't think, if I had what I would love to do, right, if I had the chance to do regeneration, I would like to have the Doctor on the move. And he changes. Do you know what I mean? I don't want him standing still. I like to have him maybe stumbling around and stuff, and doing an effect where he kind of changes. Yeah. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see it. Then he stops and he's a completely different guy. And I know they can do that with effects now. I know they can.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing that I'd love to do is that when we introduce the new Doctor and he's standing there in the old TARDIS, and he just stands there and he maybe presses a switch, whatever, and the TARDIS changes around him to another design. That's what I'd love to do, because we've never seen the TARDIS change when we're inside the TARDIS. That'd be something awesome. That'd be, obviously the effects have got to be fantastic, but that would be awesome, wouldn't it? If he changed, you saw the TARDIS literally change in front of your eyes. That would be amazing.
The problem is with your regenerations is the fact that they've got to have some. They've got to have some last words and sometimes monologues, you know. You know.
No, but that's okay. That's okay. But that's okay, though.
You will then.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Like for instance, if the Doctor got zapped by some kind of laser thing and he was dying, it'd be really good if he done his monologue in pain, fell on the console as he was doing his monologue. He was changing, his face was changing, the whole of him was changing, and then when he finishes his monologue, he's a completely different person. I've never seen that done before. That would be awesome. That would be something that they should try. Maybe the BBC's listening, who knows? You know,
not my channel.
I don't know, but don't you think that's never been done before? I'm always up to things that's never been done before. You know,
well, that's the thing, because like they haven't really. There was a lot of the stuff in the RTD era that hadn't been done before.
Yes,
a lot. So you know, there was new things opening, but the thing was, though, they weren't actually trampling over what had come before.
That's right. But Chibnall did.
That's where the issues arisen, is the fact that they've gone, well, if you've got a problem with that, it's canon, you know, and all this. And it's like, well, you know, there is no canon, and then all of a sudden, there is this canon, there's this canon from this episode.
Also, I tell you, another thing I would like to do if I was showrunner is, if you look back at some of the sci-fi films of the past, like for instance, Empire Strikes Back or a Star Trek, whatever, they'd always have a part in the film where it showcased.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good one, Wind. I love it.
It showcased a visual effects sequence. Like for instance, Empire Strikes Back had the
I've got to say, sorry, while you think about that, what Wen said about that whole long chain thing, that's funny, because like how they did that was actually a
terrible
pillow. It was a concrete pillow, and he had to sit in it, and then he had to get changed, and then he had to sit in it, and then he had to get changed. So it wasn't a real pillow behind him; it was actually concrete. So it was the same. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that they used to have special effects sequences, and I remember in Empire Strikes Back they had the sequence with the asteroid field, didn't they? And that was a visual effect extravaganza together with the music and build up. I would like to have more stuff like that in Doctor Who, where we showcase maybe the TARDIS or something like that, where there's this actual scene that actually showcase a visual effect. You know what I mean? Rather than just having ships floating or whatever, or something like that. You know, so
Yeah.
that would be quite interesting to do as well. Considering you have to save money, I guess, because it's the BBC. Then again, it is farmed out to Bad Wolf Productions, so maybe they'll be dragging in more money, HBO and stuff like that.
Well,
So,
I mean, someone said to me because I was of the understanding that it's for the 60th anniversary episode and one series. That's what I was understanding.
we'll find out. We'll find out.
What do you understand it as? Do you understand it as just the 60th and there's no series beyond?
It's
because I'm reading different things.
I think it's the 60th. He's in charge of the 60th. The only problem with the 60th is that they probably will have Jodie involved in it. And that's the thing, you see, Matt.
Bring Peter Davison back.
If you
look, how much is shit.
Yeah, but if you look at the Five Doctors, right?
Mm.
Who is the one that solved the problem in the Five Doctors? It was the first Doctor. He was the one that was saying, you know,
he was the wisest.
Yeah. Let him have mortality, and then all the rest of the doctors going, what are you talking about? Yes, let him. They're lying. Let them. And then obviously he got them out of the problem. And all the other doctors, including Peter Davison, respected him and said, how did you know? You know, and he was like, oh, my dear fellow, blah, blah, blah. But here's hoping that if they do the 60th, they would respect the doctors that came before Jodie and not make Jodie berate the other 12, if you know what I mean, which is probably what's going to happen.
You could
probably
make a
kick someone in the balls or something.
You could make a good first Doctor.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, but I'm just saying that, you know, I'm just saying if they bring back David Tennant and Matt Smith for the 60th and Peter, they should be respect for them, you know, and Jodie should not be the one that leads the charge. It should be all of them together, you know, and not make it, if you know what I mean. So what's this? I'm going to Peter Davison's chased off. Yeah, he was. Yes, that's unfortunate.
I've got my Peter Davison shirt on.
I do love Peter Davison, and I think
I know.
With the special effects they can do now, they can easily do deep fake and bring them back for a small portion.
Well, they did do that with the first one, didn't they? They did that whole weird. They got actors and then they put their.
Oh no, that was awful. The 50th, that was awful. It was like
they were all bent.
yeah, and they were all still pictures as well. So, but what I'm saying is, with today's technology, they could have them appear, but for very small sections, and they can do that if they wanted to do that, but it just involves money. But do you know what, right? If I was in charge, I keep saying this, if I was in charge and it was farmed out, I would go to the internet and say because there's fantastic visual effects guys out there on YouTube, and I'd put that out there and say, can anyone help us with this 60th? Exactly. Can anyone help us with the 60th? Yes, we won't be paying you the going rate, but you'll be contributing to something that you love, you know, you know, and you'll be credited for that, you know, and that's what I would do.
Americans, and they'd be going, "What? Doctor Who? What?"
Well, I've seen some amazing stuff on YouTube that people can do. I mean, especially with that program Real Engine now that they can Real Engine, they're using on everything. You know what I mean? Yep. So, you know, it's something that can be done now.
You need to watch. I know you're not into gaming or anything like that, but there's a new game coming from China. And it's based on Goku, the monkey magic.
Ah, right, yeah,
and
monkey.
So, the actual character, and like some of the actual quality of that. Oh my god, it looks.
I know, it's amazing what they can do. It's crazy. You know what? Wendy should have been on this one as well.
Well, Wendy, you'll have to come on at some point.
Yeah.
I know. Ian, you've got to go soon, so
I've got to go now. I'm actually,
sure you're all done over with the whole Doctor Who thing earlier. So with Dan on his channel.
No.
So thank you very much for coming on.
It's always good chatting to you, Matt. You know, anytime you want me on, it's because we always have a laugh.
Thanks for
talking
saving
about
the
stuff
day
like
as
this.
usual, Ian.
Not save that day.
I know it was short notice, but
that's all right, mate. It's all right. But I've really got to go now.
Cheers.
But Matt, it's been a pleasure, pal.
We'll end it. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.